The storm raged over the dark waters like an angry god. Waves rose like walls, slamming into the hull of the Black Marrow as if the sea itself sought vengeance. Amid the chaos, crewmen shouted, ropes snapped, and crates rolled across the deck like dice in a gambler's hand. But none of it compared to the sound of iron dragging across wood. A cage, heavy and cruel, its rusted bars barely holding together. Inside that cage, soaked to the skin, a girl no older than 20 shivered and curled tighter into herself. Her name was Elira, though no one on the ship had ever cared to learn it. She had been cargo to them. Excess, they'd said. A stowaway discovered just after the ship had set sail from the markets of Avaran. Too late to turn around, too dangerous to keep. She eats and gives nothing, the captain had barked. We're not running a charity. When the sea gets rough, dead weight goes overboard. They waited until the storm made the decision easy. She screamed as they dragged the cage to the edge of the deck, kicking, slamming her fists against the iron, begging. Not one man listened. One even laughed. And then the sea swallowed her whole. Miles away, near the cliffs of the Glenrock coast, a man named Darren was tying his small boat to a jagged post when the first wave of the storm's fury reached him. He glanced toward the horizon, where flashes of lightning cracked the sky. A merchant ship struggled far out, a dark smear on the churning ocean. Fools, he muttered, should have never left port in that. He turned back toward his cabin. A crooked little home nestled against the rock, where nets and driftwood furniture told the story of a man who once made his life from the sea, but now kept to the land. Inside, his fire still glowed, warm and inviting. Then he heard it, a clanging, faint, metallic. He paused. Again, closer, a grinding, dragging kind of sound. Darren grabbed a lantern, shielding the flame with his hand as he stepped toward the shore. There, just beyond the breakers, something glinted in the water. A cage. It slammed against the rocks, half submerged. Something inside moved, barely. Gods, he whispered. Without another thought, he sprinted into the surf. Waves nearly knocked him over as he fought his way to the cage, muscles straining. Salt stung his eyes. The metal scraped his arms as he pulled it closer. Through the bars, he saw her. Pale skin, black hair plastered to her face, unmoving. But her chest. Yes, she was breathing. Alive. He worked for hours to open the cage. The lock had rusted shut, but Darren had once been a blacksmith's apprentice before he was ever a fisherman. With a hammer, a chisel, and every ounce of strength in his arms, he pried the iron open. She fell into his arms like a rag doll. Her skin was cold, lips nearly blue, but she was alive. He carried her to the fire, wrapped her in blankets, forced warm tea between her lips when she was conscious enough to drink. He didn't ask questions. Not yet. Elira awoke the next morning in a haze of pain and warmth. Her body ached as if it had been battered by stones, but she was dry, clothed, and breathing. The room was small, wooden, smelling of salt and ash. A man sat across from her, tending the fire. His hair was streaked with gray, his face lined from wind and sun. "You're safe," he said softly. "Storms passed." She tried to speak, but her throat was raw. He passed her a cup of water, and she drank greedily. "You pulled me out," she rasped. He nodded. "Name's Darren." "Elira," she whispered. There was silence for a while, filled only by the crackling of firewood and the groan of wind outside. "Why were you in a cage?" he asked finally. Her fingers tightened around the cup. "I boarded the Black Marrow in Avaran. Hiding. I needed to escape." Her voice shook, memories clawing to the surface. The slavers were coming. My village, taken. I ran. Found the ship. Thought I was lucky. He said nothing. Just waited. They found me after we set sail. The captain called me excess cargo. Said I didn't belong. Took me above deck last night. And she stopped. Her voice failed. Darren's jaw clenched. Monsters, he muttered. All of them. In the days that followed, Alira regained her strength. She helped him around the cottage, learning to gut fish, repair nets, and start fires with damp wood. Darren was quiet but kind. He didn't ask more than she wanted to give. Still, Alira saw the shadows in his eyes, pain hidden beneath a life of solitude. One morning, while she cleaned out an old net, she found a weathered locket tucked under a board in the floor. Inside was a picture, a woman smiling, and a child with Darren's eyes. Alira said nothing, but when she looked at Darren that evening, she understood the grief in him. He had lost something precious, maybe everything. 3 weeks passed before the first visitor came, a rider on a black horse, a merchant's man by the look of him. Darren tensed when he saw the figure dismount. Trouble? Alira asked, peeking from behind the doorway. He didn't answer, just stepped outside. Alira watched from the window. They spoke briefly. The man gestured toward the sea, then handed Darren a pouch, heavy with coin. Darren refused it. The man looked furious. He turned, spat at the ground, and rode off. Darren stood still for a long time before he came back inside. Captain of the Black Marrow, he said, voice low. Docked in Kessin. He's saying some of the cargo went missing. Want it found. Alira's heart seized. He'll kill me, she whispered. Darren's gaze hardened. No, he won't. That night, Darren went to the cliffs. Alira followed. He stared out at the sea, the moon casting silver over black waves. When I was younger, I had a wife, Lisa, and a daughter, Mirren. Alira said nothing. One night, pirates came. I was away on the water. They burned the village, took slaves, my family among them. He turned to her, eyes filled with storm and sorrow. I searched for years, found a ship, the Black Marrow. Alira's blood ran cold. They were gone by then, he said, voice hollow. Sold. Lost. I hunted that crew down. Every last one. Except the captain. He vanished. She stepped beside him. It's him, Alira, the one who threw you into the sea. The next morning, Darren left before sunrise. Alira tried to follow, but he sent her back. You've survived enough storms, he said. Let me face this one. She didn't listen. The Black Marrow was docked in Kessin Harbor, her hull still scarred by the sea. Darren walked up the gangplank like a ghost returned from the deep. The crew recognized him. One man ran. Another reached for a weapon, but thought better of it. Then the captain emerged. Older, broader, but the eyes were the same. Darren, he said, forcing a smile. Been a long time. You threw a girl into the ocean, Darren said. She lives. The smile vanished. She was stowaway filth, the captain growled. I had the right. You lost that right when you became what you used to fight. What do you want, Darren? Vengeance. No. Darren tossed something onto the deck. A thick iron key, aged and rusted. She gave me this. Said it was around your neck when she saw you at the village. The captain froze. That's right, Darren said. She remembered. The girl you caged is the daughter you sold. Silence crushed the deck. Then Darren stepped forward. She has your eyes, Varn. Your cruelty, too. But she's chosen not to use it. The captain opened his mouth. Darren struck first. It wasn't a duel. It was justice. Fists flew. Blood spilled. The crew watched in silence, guilt rotting their courage. When the fight was over, Darren stood above a broken man. You threw her away, he said. But she survived. That's more than you ever did. Alira waited at the cliffside. When Darren returned, bruised but alive, she ran to him. He handed her the rusted key. It's from your mother's necklace, he said. He kept it all these years. Tears welled in her eyes. You avenged her, she whispered. No, Darren said softly. You did. You lived. Years later, people spoke of the girl who was caged and cast into the sea and survived. Of the man who saved her, not just from drowning, but from being forgotten. Together, they build a life not from what was taken, but from what remained. Not every storm ends in tragedy. Some end with salvation. And the sea, though cruel, sometimes gives back what it takes.